Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm Susie, and this podcast helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads by taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, grab your beverage of choice, and let's get this episode going. Hello, gorgeous souls. I have an amazing treat for you today. I have not one, but two amazing special guests on the episode today. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Sarah, you want to go first?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me. My name is Sarah, aka Exoteric Oracle. I chose the name Exoteric Oracle very intentionally. The word exoteric is the opposite of esoteric. So essentially it means information, wisdom, knowledge that is meant to be easily understood and accessible for the masses, as opposed to esoteric, which is a little bit more secretive, or a lot more completely, actually. Um, and yeah, oracle as in I have sight and knowledge that transcends three-dimensional existence. And my business is in educating and mentoring cycle breakers, visionaries, spiritual warriors, people that know that they're here for a greater calling. And so I do a lot of programs on self-worth, healing, empowerment, decolonization, business, spiritual warriorship, and whatever else I feel like. I'm really grateful to be here. And yeah, thanks for having me. Letting me introduce myself to your people.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And then Elena.
What's up, peeps? Thank you, Susie, for having me on here on your podcast. My name is Elena, and I go by Priestess Activation on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Those are the main platforms that you could find me. I am a psychic priestess, and by that I feel like I kind of like you said, you're like an oracle, like a channel for the divine, like for the guidance to come through for whoever needs to hear it. I do tarot oracle readings, energy readings. I feel like that just comes naturally with what I do and part of being a psychic priestess. And energy healings. I feel like I am on the verge of spiritual mentorship. So that is something that I definitely would love to really dive into soon. And then just coaching people and empowerment and really helping them see where in their lives they could be playing themselves. Like I used to play myself. But I feel like women empowerment is where my journey is taking me. Like,
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on my podcast today. And the reason I wanted to have these amazing, beautiful, intelligent, strong, just strong-willed guided women on this episode today is because we're actually going to be talking about something where all three of us feel very, very strongly about, and we see it everywhere. And you may have known about it, but you don't know maybe the term. And we're going to be talking about the sister wound today. And before I get started, I did pull cards for us today for this podcast. I did not let them know ahead of time. That way you can hear us in real time about, really diving deep into these cards and really building a community with women. So I'm using what is this? The Modern Witch Tarot. And I pulled the Lovers and the Star and the Hierophant. So, a quick backstory. I've known Elena for a hot minute. I followed her and her peeps on her podcast when I was barely starting to learn tarot. And I know Sarah because she was my mentor, and I've taken almost like every single one of your workshops, right? And and it really helps to have that bond and feeling that security with other women, especially when you're in your craft and especially if you're in business, but all around, it's just very important overall. So I had just asked for one card, but you know how spirit is. So I got three. So I don't know which one resonates to you all the most, or maybe all three of you if you want to chime in. But y'all know the number 17 always be coming for me, and that's the star. And for myself, this is still a relatively newish journey. I'm not quote unquote a baby witch anymore and really never considered myself one. I think we're all magical beings straight from the get-go. But as far as this rebirth and coming through and just being vulnerable and out there has really, really impacted me. I really feel all these cards. How about you, ladies? Whoever wants to chime in.
I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, I am excited for the layout of the cards that you like pulled in order because um the lovers, I don't really associate that with like a loving relationship. I
Mhm.
associate it more with the choices that we do have. Like it's a bit it's like that it's like a big choice and a union and the the choices that you make in your life that bring you true and ultimate happiness so that you could find that unionship within yourself and that harmony. But I do also feel like that card with this episode, um it's perfect because we all love each other, obviously, you know, and we all value our relationship. And I feel like we're at that point in this relationship where if one of us was doing something to self-sabotage ourselves or just not in the right place, one of us would be right there to like call it out respectfully and we wouldn't feel like any kind of way about it. And I feel like the lovers card is that whole acceptance of yourself. And then the star, like the way I see it is like you're wanting this true love connection. And I feel like a lot of people who have came out of the sister wound, the sisterhood wound, almost feels like at that point when they realize that and how connected they could be with women, you start to kind of realize men ain't kind of shit. Like men ain't shit. Like you really want to be more around women. And I feel like that's that loving energy that comes through with the star, with the lovers, and then the star. It's like you have that faith that you can find that. And then the Hierophant almost to me of community, like finding that guidance that you need to bring yourself to find that community. And like and it's funny because we have a mentor here, you know, and that card speaks to mentorship, and that's how we healed this wound is through mentorship. So I don't think that necessarily everyone will heal this wound through mentorship, but I feel like it's healed through community. But it starts with like that lover's journey healing that we need to do with ourselves so that we can see that we are all the same, we're all human, we're all this loving being, and there's no competition. Like us women are truly beautiful in their essence and in their energy. Like it's so healing being around women versus being around a man. So yeah, I think the cards fit perfectly. What do you think, Sarah?
I love that.
Yeah, I love that too, dude. That was so dope. You took us on like a whole journey, like just interpreting those. I'm definitely the newest at tarot out of the three of us, and you know, I was just waiting for the Three of Cups.
Right.
No
Um,
kidding, me too.
but I feel like together these do almost kind of tell the story of the Three of Cups in a way, because I see the
Yep.
lovers sort of as like, you know, obviously it speaks to self-love, any type of relationship, friendship. And I feel like all of those things are basically when you put a mirror up to yourself, right? Like whether you're doing your self-love work or you're in some kind of friendship or relationship, they always serve as a mirror for you, right? And I feel like when it comes to sisterhood specifically, in my experience, it's kind of like just really allowing yourself to be fully seen by someone else. And I think that's where the star comes in, is in doing that. It's almost like they see this star, this like this bright vibrant energy inside of you, this magic, that, you know, especially as women that have been, you know, traumatized as fuck within our families and within society, you know, sometimes we forget that we have that spark. We forget that there's actually something truly special and magical about us, and being in each other's company kind of allows us to see ourselves in that way by seeing each other in that way. And yeah, the Hierophant is so interesting because it does speak a lot of like mentorship, you know, the sharing of wisdom ultimately. And I feel like that's a big part of sisterhood for us too. And I know we'll talk, you know, a lot about how society impacts, you know, women's relationships with each other, but it's kind of like you can see why they have worked so hard to keep women separated, to keep us in competition, because when we actually do allow ourselves to be a mirror for one another and to actually find ourselves with each other in these relationships and to share wisdom, we're like ridiculously powerful. Like the idea of a witch that they're trying to show us in Hollywood is nothing compared to what we can actually fucking do. And so that's kind of how I read the story of those cards, is like this mirror that helps you see yourself in this empowered and uplifted way. And so you start sharing that intuitive wisdom that was always within you, that you've acquired throughout your experiences, and you're surrounded with people who value that and are so grateful for that. And yeah, you know, y'all were both my clients, and I've worked with both of y'all since then too. Like y'all are my tarot readers, y'all are my Reiki healers. Like, so it's just this beautiful exchange of gifts and wisdom, and energy, that I think healing the sister wound is all about.
Yeah, and also to note that all three of these cards are major arcana cards. So everyone, I would love for you to, if even if you don't read tarot, I feel like this episode will really hit or resonate with it, if not all, a majority of you, because we start with that lovers, being in tune with ourselves, you know, being vulnerable, looking out into the horizon, knowing we have mountains to climb and we've had mountains to climb. And then feeling that rebirth, whether that's speaking your truth, speaking up, setting a boundary, whatever that may be for you. And then really embarking on that spiritual path, that journey, finding, you know, a trusted friend or a mentor, some kind of leader. Maybe it's you. Maybe you are the leader that people need and you're ready to step into that role. And as we start now with this episode, you're probably thinking, okay, what is the sister wound? So the sister wound is a term that refers to the emotional and psychological scars and traumas that arise between relationships between women. And often it's within a family or a really close-knit group. It could also be an extended, broader social interactions. This concept really explores the dynamics of competition, jealousy, betrayal, and in other different various ways that women can hurt each other, whether we intentionally mean to do it or it's unintentional. And I'll give you some just really key aspects to the sister wound. But as I talked about in previous episodes, where you know, you don't think you're being given the evil eye, or people either send it to you or negative thoughts or the evil eye. And sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it is that jealousy. And it's okay to own up to that. It's human nature. It's how do we move forward and take the next steps? So we have comparison and competition. So normally we see this when society likes to pit women against each other, fostering that sense of competition against each other, right? Then we have feelings of imposter syndrome, jealousy, as I said. It can damage relationships, your self-esteem. You can have feelings of inadequacy. Then we have betrayal and trust issues. And when we experience this, sometimes it's through a line of gossip or backstabbing, um, a confidence that was broken, where maybe you trusted somebody with something and they completely misuse your trust, or like those secrets, we talk about, oh my gosh, how sometimes teenage girls are the worst to each other, and a lot of that is learned behavior, which we'll talk about. But they come from someone considered a close friend, aka the sister. Then we have internalized misogyny, and that sister wound can be like with that internalized misogyny. I know that we've talked about this before, but where women unconsciously adopt sexist attitudes and behaviors towards each other. And this is what causes harmful stereotypes, and it really undermines the solidarity between women. Then we have obviously our historical and cultural context. I mean, if you're living under a rock and you don't know what's been going on, I mean, even if you don't watch the news at all, you can see how a lot of our rights are being stripped and taken away. But the sister wound is influenced, and by historical and cultural contexts, it shapes women's roles and relationships, which the three of us have spoken about: being the older sister, for myself, Hispanic, and, serve the man kind of thing. That is taught to us from an early age. Then, once we notice all these things, then we have the healing and empowerment. And this is healing the sister wound. This involves genuine connections. This is practicing your empathy. This is supporting each other, building a sense of community so that we can empower each other without having the negative dynamics. So when we actually address the sister wound, acknowledging the patterns, opening up, that line of communications, then we can create a supportive environment where women can uplift and empower each other instead of seeing each other as a competition or a threat, so to speak. So my first question, now that and this is just a rundown, y'all, like there's a whole, we can really deep dive into all the bullet points that I gave you, but for so that we can stay within time. My first question is going to be to Sarah, as she's a mentor. How can you share any personal experiences or observations regarding the sister wound in your professional journey?
Yeah, so I mean, before mentorship, I'll just go into that really quickly. I worked at the Men's Warehouse for over a decade, and I was a salesperson there. And there were many times in my life that I was doing really, really good. And there was other women there too, and we were, always looking back, it's so easy to see how we were always pitted against each other in certain ways where it was like, that's actually completely unnecessary. And then I had a whole academic career. I got my bachelor's, and then I went on to get my master's in philosophy. And my bachelor's, I finished that up at an all-women's liberal arts college. So that's where I started to learn philosophy. And then when I went on to my master's in a co-ed program, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Right? And I didn't even, when I first got accepted to the all women school, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, women are so catty. Am I going to be able to survive in a school that's all women? And then I got there and I was like, oh my God, this is a motherfucking sanctuary. Like, like all of the things that you would normally hate about the classroom were like gone, right? We were actually like respectfully disagreeing with each other, having like really deep intellectual, respectful conversations. And then when I went into the co-ed program, it became like a little, like a little fight with the dicks, right? It was like the women couldn't even get a word in, and like it was competitive in general. But those are just some things that I noticed, which actually compelled me to become a mentor and start my own business, because I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this shit. I was originally trying to become a college professor. And so it's already knowing like all of the obstacles and the politics that I was going to have to deal with if I was going to be working at a cultural institution like that. And so that's how my business was born. And initially I had no intentions of healing the sister wound. My business wasn't even exclusively for women in the beginning. You know, you first start your spiritual business and you're like, it's for everybody, right? So,
Yes, yes.
um, so, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna work with men, I'm gonna work with women. Um, and I very quickly realized that I only wanted to work with women, and that was actually catalyzed by signing Elena on as a client, because even though I had female clients before her, she was the first one that like it was very mutual. Like she was bossing me up in return. Like I'm offering her mentorship, but she's hyping me up. She's bossing me up. She's doing all the advertising for my business, you know, at that point, like always shout me out and shit. And so me and her realized pretty early on, like, oh shit, like this is kind of the first time I'm having this, like with a woman. And I remember she reflected to me, like, yo, I've had mentors before that were women of color, even, and it wasn't anything like this. Um, so that, and at that time I had a mentor, who we will not name, but in her spaces, which were also all women, there was no sisterhood, there was no community whatsoever. So I think if it wasn't for Elena, like I might have gotten it in my head that that's just how it would have been, like that's just what it's like, you know, to have a business like this. But then I signed her on as a client and I was like, okay, only this is the standard now. Why the fuck would I want to deal with someone that I don't vibe with this way, just for money, right? And that's kind of unlearning capitalism, right?
Yeah.
So then she introduced me to you, right? She introduced me to you. You were in my first program and every program since. And there's good vibes across the board with everybody in my community. But I noticed, like, when I was having group calls, when I was originally scheduling them in the programs, I didn't think that was going to be for sisterhood and community. I thought that was going to just be for live coaching. In my ex-mentors group calls, y'all, if there would be four of us in the call, it would literally be just taking turns being coached by her. Like there was really no interaction amongst us aside from that. But in my groups, y'all were vibing with each other. Like the pressure wasn't even all on me to be the all-knowing mentor or whatever the fuck we get in our heads with this shit. And then I started to get other women that would also reflect to me like, holy shit, I've never had this before. Like, this is just a group of women and everybody's actually like listening to each other and respecting each other and giving sincere, genuine love and advice. And you could feel the energy. If there's somebody talking shit about you behind your back, you know that. They don't have to say it. They could be the nicest to your face, but you'll know it. But I feel like in the spaces that I've created in my business, there hasn't been any of that. There's been a couple ups and downs for sure. I've had to tell somebody, yo, you made me really uncomfortable when you said that. I don't appreciate being treated that way. And I've also had clients that have said things to me like, hey, there's things that you said that made me uncomfortable. But I've noticed in working just with women, these things are pretty fucking easy to resolve.
Yeah.
It's because we're emotionally in tune, right? So we can say like, oh wow, I totally acknowledge how that could have been hurtful, or we're not, once you get to a certain level of your healing journey, you stop deflecting everything, right? If somebody's coming to you, especially as a mentor, right? If somebody's coming to me telling me that I did something to make them feel some type of way, if I respond in any way other than being super attentive and concerned and curious and open, like I'm failing as a mentor. It's not as easy when I'm the one having to tell somebody, right? Because then again, unlearning capitalism, there's dynamic of the customer's always right. And you got to kind of shift how you show up or what you do your business based on the person paying you money because you don't want to lose them type thing. And that's something that I'm really cool, through my experiences to be at the point where I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck. I'd really rather give a refund, because and that's not even just for me, right? Like if there was someone being hella problematic, then the whole group's going to feel that when I'm having group programs, right? And even group one-on-one, it doesn't matter. Why would I want to deal with someone? My own ex-mentor, I paid her over 10K just to realize at the end, this bitch has been in competition with me the whole fucking time. And I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel it sometimes. I'd go in the chat being like, oh, I'm going to tell her about this new thing that I'm, going to start working on. And I would get this intuitive voice in my head telling me, don't tell her. She's going to take that for herself. And lo and behold, she took a lot of my shit for herself by the time it was said and done.
Yeah.
Whereas with you, I've had a call with you where we designed a program and I was like right there in the call, like, damn, I'm jealous. I
Yeah.
wish I was teaching this program, but it's like just being able to say that, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it dissolves all of the tension. And people just, because of our hyper individualism and our hyper ego in this society, it takes that away from us. But I think the combination for me that I have found so serendipitously too, like I didn't come into this, again, I did not come into this intending to only work with women, to only work with women, and this is women and femmes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love the feminine in general. I love the masculine too, but my work is just not for them right now. But realizing that it's also got to be people on this decolonial journey too, right? And it's like the
Right.
more I learn myself, the more I put these intentions out there to connect with similar people, and being specific, it does create an environment of sisterhood. So when I'm telling someone like my brother, like, yeah, I got 11 people in my program, and he's over here like 11, that's not really a lot. But I'm over here like, dude, with the specifications that I have,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
and I'm like less than a year into teaching programs, so it's like, no, I think that's pretty fucking good that there's 11 people, and that I feel like I don't have to worry about somebody being offensive to somebody else. Nobody's perfect, but nobody's going to be in there like on some competition,
Mm-hmm.
jealousy, sneaky shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it's been for me, but it really did start with Elena, to be real.
I love
Well,
you.
well,
Because that's how it
going,
started with me, I think. Like,
yeah, it
realizing.
really did.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, because this just prompts me to like my next question, since Elena was really the common thread that pulled us together, because I was seeing a lot of what you were going through a transformation, and I was like, damn, look at Elena go. And Elena like is working with that dark feminine. And I was like, damn, dude, you have like hella confidence. Like you work with, the dark feminine. Like, how can I get there? And I just saw a shift. And that's how she pointed me to start like, dude, I got a mentor. She's fucking kick ass. Just reach out to her. And I rolled the dice on that because again, I was like, why would I get a mentor? Like, I didn't know. Like, why would I get a mentor on my spiritual journey? Like, why, like, I'm doing tarot readings. How could she help me? Because I also had a coach, and like she was great. I mean, she wasn't catty, wasn't anything like that, but there was no real connection there the way I had right off the bat with Sarah, right? And it's that energy, like, dude, like, let's do this. Like, let's just try it. No harm, no foul. And that's what happened. And with you, Elena, this like it just went perfectly into this next question. As you work with the dark feminine, how would you define the sister wound from that spiritual perspective? And
Mhm.
what common signs and symptoms of the sister wound do you see in your spiritual practice?
So for those that really don't know like what the dark feminine is, it's kind of like, first I'll explain it. It's that part of a feminine that doesn't give a fuck anymore. That's tired of getting played, tired of people just, tired of people pleasing, tired of just not setting boundaries, just being a rebel, owning your voice, speaking up, just fighting injustices, and um, not holding on to the people that hurt us or what hurt us, but more so like healing that so that we can empower ourselves and really be strong in our shadows. And it's not like, I feel like people think dark feminine is like a negative bitch, but I really feel like they don't like it because it's that one person that's going to, that actually is confident,
that doesn't give a fuck if you're gonna say your opinion to try and piss me off, but I'm not gonna get pissed off. And the dark feminine also, like for me anyways, I can speak only for myself, but I love like a confident woman. I love when women are confident. I love when women are not playing themselves. I love when women are mentors, when they're coaches, when they're actually doing it to boss up other women so that these women could stop playing themselves in a way that they're holding themselves back in every aspect of their life. And before this journey, because, I was a catty female, I was petty, we've all been there. We've all talked shit. And I was holding on to all these past experiences that I've had with women and just being traumatized and not really wanting to work with women. And at one point, I remember in my very beginning of my spiritual journey, when I was looking for a mentor, I was looking at male coaches. I even had a couple one-on-one calls with male coaches. And because I was thinking that I didn't want to work with a woman, and I was still in that, I think subconsciously, I was in that competition mode or state. And that's something that a dark feminine is not. She's not competitive because she knows she's equal to women, and she has that love for women, that she's not competing with them because she knows that the competition is when she looks in the mirror. And I think that's why we all clicked so much, because we became mirrors for each other. And I've noticed that if I'm struggling with something, somebody's already struggled with it out of the three of us. And it's like somebody's coaching me through it. Or I feel like I've been through something and one of you guys are right there behind me going through it. And we're right there helping each other. And, you're launching, Susie, you're launching programs. Sarah's launching her rituals and her programs. And none of us get jealous. Like, yeah, we say we're jealous, but what does that even mean? I feel like that's just our inner child. Like, oh, I want to have fun too. Like, what can I do? Like, I know I can do something too. And it's not that we're saying I can do that what Susie's doing, but better. No, it's just that I know I have something of value to offer too. And I just needed to see Susie do that so I can come out of that, I can come out of my shell and do what I got to do. And I didn't know I was struggling with the sister wound until I met Sarah and had that mentorship with her and our one-on-ones, because like you said, Susie, the energy just wasn't there for me with other mentors. And yeah, they were cool, but I was feeling like I was bossing them up and hyping them up, but I wasn't getting that in return. Like, I feel like now that I sit with the energy, I feel like they were afraid to boss me up because maybe they were afraid I was competition and they didn't want me to steal away from their followers or steal away from their clients, which was, I don't want no one's clients, because I know, Susie, your clients are specific to you and they may only resonate with you, and their guides are calling them to you only. And maybe one day they may come to me for something. And I happily will tell people about you guys. Like, I will, if I have a client that I do healings for, I'm still going to tell them about you, because what if I can't help them with something? What if I feel like intuitively, oh, I know Susie can do this for this person. I'm going to do that. And I have done that because I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I think I can do that. Let me try. No, like I want to have people, mostly women. I don't know. I love women. I love working with gay men too. There's something about queers and just something about just, that in general. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I just, love being in that energy and love knowing that I can trust someone and be vulnerable with them. And they're not going to take that in a negative way or see me in a negative way and turn that against me, which sometimes you're just naturally a boss and you're naturally just in your element and you just know your shit. And some people are going to see that and be like, I don't like that. And I'm a Capricorn rising. And so I'm always going to be about that boss life. And I've had problems in work, at work, in the healthcare field, because I've been in management positions or I've been in leadership positions to where other leaders look at me like I'm a threat. And I'm not, and that's where it also started.
is them like really, I've been through some trauma, workplace trauma, like where I've gotten played by other women and I've gotten set up and I've gotten false promises to where I was promised things and then I'd gone through them and then I don't get it. And they choose other women over me. So the unworthy, that worthiness wound also started there too. And that's a wound that I also healed with Sarah. So I feel like the dark feminine has healed these wounds of unworthiness and these sister wounds. And I think that's why they go well together.
That is so beautifully said, because all of that is, as you bring up that workplace trauma, and Elena's like super amazing. Like she will pump anybody up.
For
And
real.
and it's just like you said, it's to be grounded in knowing like, oh, you know what? Like, I know your client is asking me of this, but I was like, you know what? Maybe you need to, I got this girl, her name is Elena. She works with Metatron. Like, let me send you to her because she knows how to connect with that energy. Whereas I am still learning that, and I would not hesitate in a heartbeat. And that workplace trauma is, yeah, 100%. I feel that. And I know you just recently had that happen, like it come up. And I know that's healing the sister wound isn't like a one and done, just like the spiritual journey. It's not a one and done. It's not how that works. It's a constant,
Yeah.
we're gonna keep moving. But did you want to add anything else about the dark feminine?
No.
No. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask Sarah this question because we're talking about mentorship, and I know that you were very, on the business side heavy, but I do want to ask, how important do you think mentorship is in healing the sister wound? And what qualities should someone look in a mentor? Because even as you had a mentor, you were a mentor with a mentor. And you got burned. What can we kind of look for? That way, women, what are we looking for as women collectively as we work towards empowering each other and fostering a culture of mutual support?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I wouldn't have known how to answer that if I didn't have my experience, with a mentor who was the opposite. And like part of that journey was really realizing like, wait, like I'm over here, um, and I'm not as good at it as Elena is, right? But I'm over here hyping my clients up, right? Like when y'all had your first programs, I was telling all my clients about it, and I had people in your programs. You know what I mean? Even Betsy had no idea about your goddess program, and I texted her and I said, "Yo, hit up Susie. I think she could help you with this," right? Like and I was like, damn, this bitch ain't doing nothing like that. She never shares my shit. Like, even if we go live together, she's always talking over me, like, or trying to like adopt my persona in a way, like, and by the end, she was like straight up just appropriating my words and writing emails that were in fact dissuading people from doing the work that I was doing. And so when it comes to what I would look for, if healing the sister wound specifically is something that's important to you, like you struggle with relationships with women, but you want to heal that and you want to get a mentor, somebody that you could really trust and really vibe with and grow with, then you need to find somebody who is supporting the women in their community, right? So whether that's their friends, their collaborators, their clients, it doesn't, it can be anybody. It doesn't be perfect, but you have to see this person like really supporting them. And I don't just mean, oh, they collaboratively do a live together or something like that, but are they like actively telling their audience and their people to go fuck with other women, right? Like, that's a big one. If they're a mentor and they're only ever talking about their clients to share results, which is benefiting their business rather than actually like introducing you to their clients and being like, hey, these are my clients that do X, Y, and Z, and you should check them out, you should follow them, they're doing these events or so on, like, then again, to me, it's like you're probably not going to be able to feel that safety in their space if they can't do the bare minimum of just uplifting other women on their platform in whatever way they see fit. Everybody's different, right? Another thing is accountability. I've noticed that to be a really big one, is like, find yourself somebody. It's easy to go on the internet and paint yourself as a victim, right? Or it's easy to go on the internet and paint yourself as a hero, right? These are things that the ego allows people to easily do. And, it's the ego that's been manipulated to be in competition with others. And so, if you don't see them being like, yo, someone called me out on this and I've been reflecting, and here's the role I played, or whatever, in their own situation, right? Oh, I got into this but taking accountability for the role that they play, whether it's in their suffering, in their contentions, rather than, some people will just kind of try to glide over it by saying like, yeah, I've been through a lot, or like, I've had to do X, Y, Z, but they don't give you any actual details. Like, so that's another one. Accountability, also vulnerability, I think is important. Like, if you want to actually be able to heal the sister wound with another woman, you have to feel safe being vulnerable with them. And the easiest way for somebody to create that safe environment is to be vulnerable themselves. So those are definitely a few things that are important. So just to summarize, supporting, hyping up other women, whether that's clients, friends, collaborators, whatever, and taking accountability publicly, and creating a safe environment for others to be vulnerable in. So, if someone's looking for a mentor, and even as a mentor, even if you're looking at me, right, instead of jumping right in to something, especially something high level, like, a really expensive program or one-on-one, I would suggest going to like a group thing that they do first, right? Like, see how they are around the people that they're actually quote unquote supporting, right? Because I remember with my ex-mentor, one-on-one, I thought she was so great. And then because I was in one-on-one, I got access to her group program. So I started showing up to those, and I would see how there would be certain people that she would prioritize over others, like people she wouldn't even acknowledge, or like just so it was kind of like that's kind of where things started to change for me, where I was like, damn, I thought she was cool, but like, is she only cool to people like me who are paying her $2,000 a month, whereas this person is paying her $100 a month to be in this group container? But it's like, if you're gonna really, I remember, dude, going live with her, she would say my friend and client. That's how she would introduce me and all her other clients, and I would be like, friend, like, we can be friends. Just say client, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, had I gone to those group environments first and seen how she was with a group of other women, right? It's easy to be someone's BFF for an hour in a one-on-one call, right?
Especially if they're paying you.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that they're paying you $2K a month. You only have to see their ass twice a month, and then you message with them. It's gonna be easy, bitch. I'm gonna be your best friend, right? But if I got 20, if I got 20, 30 people, whatever, 5 people, 10, 20, 30 in this group, and I'm over here, there's someone trying to get my attention, and I'm acting like they don't exist, you probably shouldn't want to work with me, even for the $2,000 price, because I'm a piece of shit at 100. You know what I mean? Like, that's integrity to me, right? So I feel like maybe that's what all of those three combined come out to is integrity, right? Does this person have integrity? If they do, they're going to make you feel safe to be vulnerable. They're going to take accountability, and they're going to be supportive of others. So yeah,
Nice. Thank you.
I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, it being that authentic, like on your social media and when you're meeting in a group setting or a one-on-one, is really what you should be looking for because you hit the nail on the head where it's like, yeah, they're cool. Everyone can be either the victim or the hero on social media. I mean, that's why I've always said your practice does not need to look like somebody else's because you never know what they were doing beforehand, what took that special, what it took to get that perfect picture or whatever. And the authenticity that I hope that I shine, but as far as, you two women, like it shows through and through. Like whatever people are hearing from you on this podcast is the same thing that they can see on your social media, on your lives, and in your programs or what you offer in your sessions. So you had touched on, being vulnerable, being authentic. Elena, since you're working and you've been working on the dark feminine, and people might be timid. Like I was very timid because I've always been the quote unquote the nice one. Susan has so much patience. Susie's like, just ask her, she'll say yes, kind of thing. And so kind of stepping into that role was very intimidating. Like, who am I? I was not comfortable because of past traumas. But do you have any techniques that could be used to release those type of negative energies, or maybe even energies such as jealousy or competitions, maybe someone that's felt betrayal associated with the sister wound?
Yeah, it's not easy, like at first when you've realized you're fed up. Because normally, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but when I stepped into this dark feminine journey, it was because I was already fed up and I just couldn't anymore. My energy was so low, I was so drained, I was so unhappy. Because I was self-sacrificing. I was self-sacrificing to please others. And I think it's part of the people pleasing that I was healing with Sarah. And, sometimes it's that imposter syndrome too, because imposter syndrome is something that I don't know, I struggle with. But I feel like I've overcome the biggest hump of it to now I'm self-aware of it. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to boss through this? Like, what am I going to do to get myself out of it? I feel like how do I teach not giving a fuck as a technique? Like, I don't know. Like, it's crazy because I value my self so much now and my mental health and my peace, my sanity, my time, my energy that I just don't want to do something that I know I'm not going to want to do for some motherfucker. I don't care if that motherfucker is even someone related to me, because then I have to start to think, well, what have you done for me? Well, what are you going to do for me? Like, what have you done for me? And it's not that. What I used to struggle with though is how am I going to communicate with this without sounding like an asshole, because of that Capricorn rising. Sometimes I feel like it pushes the Sagittarius even more to not give a fuck. I feel like that's why my words can be harsh sometimes, because Capricorns at the end of the day, they don't care. They're all about their boss life. They're all about what they're going to get, what they need, and what's important to them. And I value that. Like, I value now that I'm in this spiritual journey and I've released all these negative people in my life, because I've had friends who they're good people, but they're just negative all the time. And every time you hang out with them, they just want to talk about the negative points of their life, or why they hate so-and-so, or why they hate this thing in their life, or why they hate their mans. Or I just don't want to be around people that are going to not take accountability for their life, or accountability for the things that they can change, or speaking up for themselves. All of that stuff was just so draining to me. And I wasn't seeing the value of the connection with these people. And like, why are we friends if at the end of the day, I feel like shit after I'm talking to you. And by the time 30 minutes into this hangout, I want to go home. So I feel like there's no real technique right now for me anyways, like other than just sitting with, because I know I was like this. I was a negative ass bitch. I was probably that bitch that people didn't want to be around. But I started to fix that. And like, yes, I was negative because I was unhappy in my relationship. Done. Got rid of that. Yes, it was hard. Went through the feelings of that, worked through that. Cool. realized I was giving away my power to somebody that didn't deserve it, realized I wasn't shining my light by really stepping into myself as a bruja, and really diving into my craft because I was so worried about pleasing this relationship and pleasing the people around me. And I was just wallowing in this negative energy and I wasn't doing anything about it. So once I've done all the shadow work and, you do the things that you do for, energy and protection and all this shit and grounding.
Right.
I felt very comfortable stepping into that dark feminine because I knew at the end of the day, like, I know what I want. And, that injustice of me also, like, I'm naturally, like, I always want to fight for injustice. So I gotta do what I gotta do. Like, if I want something, I gotta get it. And
Yeah.
like, the sister will, she like, sorry, go ahead.
No, because you
Were you
bring up
gonna
a
say
good
something?
point. Those are no, yeah, those are good points as you were saying. So grounding, the shadow work, and actually knowing what you want and really creating those boundaries. And like you said, a relationship that's draining you, bye. And like you're so authentic, Elena. You're like, I was that negative bitch too. Like, shit, I was unhappy. Like, who hasn't been? So maybe a better word would be like, I guess, advice for those beginning their journey. So
There we go.
if you figure out, hey, oh shit, you wake up one morning, it's like, shit, am I the drama? Am I the problem here? And or I'm unhappy in this aspect. What advice do you have for those beginning, maybe that journey of healing of the sister wound, from a spiritual perspective? Because I mean, women, we're obviously everywhere. We work with each other, we see each other's posts.
Mhm.
How can we begin, or what advice, or maybe what did you do as an example for those beginning their journey? I think that was better. I mean, I like the technique. Those are techniques, shadow work, grounding, and actually sitting with yourself and seeing like what it is that maybe needs to change and the steps to do so. But maybe some advice would be better for the listeners.
Yeah, and it is hard, to be on a journey like a dark feminine and healing that sister wound. I can honestly say is trusting my intuition, and when I connect with women, like you had said, Sarah, like when you're checking on a mentor, check out their group calls, check out this, check out that. Yeah, check out their energy, feel their energy out. What are they about? Are they about the same things you're aligned with? Because I'm not gonna fuck with a bitch that's a witch, but she's not in alignment with me. Like if she's still, and I don't want to sound fucked up, but at the end of the day, you're allowing this energy in your space. And I'm trying to be with high vibrational people right now, so that I can help the folks that are feeling low vibrational, you know. But I would say the self-acceptance thing of myself and knowing that maybe sometimes I am the problem helps me see that other women are going through the same thing. And instead of judging them, I'm trying to instead of like judging the ones that I meet that are in my circle, like the ones that are just coming to me like, hey, I think I'm going through this sister wound thing, like it's knowing like, hey, I've been there, like I know what it's like, and then giving them the space to be vulnerable. And I feel like it's just finding that one person, like at least that is going to see you. Like I'm blessed to have both of you, but it's just not giving up on that and not saying, well, I'm not going to change because all these other women are the problem. So this is just how women are. I'm going to be like that. Nah, this is how we were programmed to be, and we're decolonizing that now. And I think it's just helping women become aware of the program so that they can be like, oh shit, maybe I'm acting like this, or I'm accepting being in these traumatic or toxic relationships with women because I think this is just how naturally women are. They're bitches. They're catty. They're petty. Nah, we not. I'm a bitch when I need to be a bitch. I'm petty when I feel like it. If I feel like being petty to you, all right. But just know if I'm petty, you deserve that. And yeah, I like to be authentic because especially in my magic, like if I'm doing brujeria, I want to be authentic so I can get them results. Like, like these spirit guides don't mess around. They know when you're fake. They know when you're coming with some iffy energy, or you've been a bitch lately, or you've been not
dedicating yourself to your shadow work. Like they know. That's why maybe sometimes you don't see nothing coming through in your road opener. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll stop. I talk a lot.
No, no, no. You're perfectly fine. Like I said, the sister wound, like what we're talking about is really just skimming the surface of ways that we can really go down this road, but this will be open to either one of you. Really building that trust and solidarity. Uh, what can we arm our listeners with as far as steps that women can take to build trust and solidarity among each other, amongst the workplace, walking down the street, when you see somebody and you're just like, and a lot of that is programming, right? Like Elena said, like we're programmed like, I know we were having a candid conversation, but it's like, damn, does she work? Or what does she do? Or what is that? How does she get that man? And what does she got that I don't got kind of thing? And it's a lot of that programming. I mean, we see it on TV all the time with women going against each other. And what's that show? The Bachelor and things like that. Like, doing, and of course we all know it's edited for TV, good TV, whatever, but it's really detrimental when young ladies are watching this, right?
Yep. Yep.
So how can we address, at least to start, like, the advice on how to start, right? And how can we repair those trust issues that come up from past betrayals or maybe just conflicts?
I think too, it's just honestly not being stuck in the past for me and not feeling like every relationship is going to be like this, and being and using my voice and communicating how I feel, like how Sarah said, like how she had to tell some clients like, hey, what you said made me feel a way. I probably back then could never do that. Now I'm sure I can, and I think if you're in a relationship with a woman and for some reason they do something to you or say something to you that might question their trust, ask them, talk to them about it. At the end of the day, it's not going to hurt you, right? She ain't gonna kill you. Like, what do you have to lose by just saying, hey, you said this or you did this, and I don't know, it made me feel a little like I can't trust you, or made me feel like, and then explain where you're coming from. Be like, I'm only coming to this because it triggered me because of this person that did this to me, and I'm just trying to protect my heart, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, sometimes breaking up with a friend hurts more than breaking up with a man or with a partner. Like,
Right.
honestly, if I were to lose one of you two, it would hurt me more than any other recent breakups, like
Yeah, I've seen you break up.
you see me break up twice. You already know I'm good, sis. So, and just thinking of us breaking up is making my eyes water. Like I'm trying to tears because it's like, I can't imagine not having you guys in my life. And it's the love I would miss and the support and the realness that I've never had. And so
Aw.
yeah, it's just letting people know like it's possible. Don't think that it's not possible. You can have lasting relationships with women. It's just it takes time and it's not going to happen overnight, and not every woman is going to be on the same level as you. But in terms of that mentality of no competition, like, and honestly, I meant to say, like, because of this healing journey of the sister wound, I feel like I can really step in being bisexual and being with women and being polyamorous, because I now see that women aren't competition. They're all beautiful beings, and I want to be a part of that. Like, I want to explore that, and I would have never done that if it wasn't for Sarah. I would have never ever done that if it wasn't for her. And that's the kind of relationships I want, like relationships that are impactful to me, that yeah.
Aw, dude, you're
Aw.
you're so
I
fucking sweet. I love how
know.
emotional you get.
I know. She's gonna take a little time out. Take a breath.
I would like to maybe expand on that a little bit. So, I think Elena kind of touched on everything pretty well. Like one of the first things is really to start the healing journey. Like, heal your past traumas, right? Like all those things that are in the past, like actually allow yourself to heal that. And, Elena also mentioned self-acceptance, right? I think self-acceptance is huge. You're never going to be able to fully accept a single other fucking human being if you don't accept yourself. It's the same with love. And that's why I think the lovers card popping up was so perfect, because it really is a
Mm-hmm.
mirroring, right? So start to do that work within yourself where like self-healing, self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth. Allow yourself to build all of that up and learn to trust yourself too, self-trust, right? So that by the time you're interacting with other people, um, the trust, right? You can trust yourself on who's a good match and who's not. Because I think the reason a lot of us get into these relationships is like, there's either some kind of insecurity, which is why we have to heal our self-worth and do our self-acceptance, right? It's like, oh, I'm insecure, but I feel like if this person likes me, that'll make me feel better, make me feel validated or some shit. Less is more. I think that's a beautiful lesson that I would love more people to learn. Growing up, we think having the most friends, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
the not. I really like, I don't need more than you two. I got Betsy, and then I have a beautiful community of clients, and my partner, my family, and I'm already like overwhelmed. You know what I mean? So like, less is more. Like, don't, it's more important to have like one or two people that you could really trust, that you feel super safe and accepted and seen and supported by, than to have like a group of friends for aesthetics or validation or some shit. um but yeah, I think that self-trust is a big piece too, because I think a lot of women do end up getting into situations where they always deep down know that that person is not necessarily aligned for them, but because they don't trust their intuition enough, they keep making excuses for it.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, and like Elena said, have the difficult conversations. Like with my sister-in-law, we hated each other for years, and wasn't until there was a moment where actually my brother had told me, he was like, yo, she heard you were talking all this shit, and that's why she's not really, fucking with you. And I was like, damn, I did talk all that shit, So I went to her and I was like, yep, I said all those things, these are the things that I have a problem with. I get these vibes off you. And she, same thing, told me everything that she was talking about me, the things she didn't like me. Like, and so that was the foundation for, aside from you two, like the most beautiful relationship with another woman that I've ever had, that I still have, because we were able to tell each other, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it goes back, I guess, to authenticity, right? It's like someone you could be fucking real with is so much more valuable than somebody that, enables your bullshit, whether it's your victim mindset or your low self-worth, your codependency, your need for validation. Like, really start to ask yourself. Aristotle, I'll just say this real quick. Aristotle, the famous ancient Greek philosopher, had a hierarchy of friendship. The ancient Greeks loved their hierarchies. Um, but so he had 3 tiers of friendship. And I think this is so helpful for anybody to know, because then you can start to categorize your relationships and really understand why they exist. But at the very bottom level was basically friends of convenience, right? People that you're quote unquote friends with because you're related, because you work together, because you go to school together, because your kids go to school together, right? Your neighbors, right? You see them around all the time anyway. So it's just convenient to be friends with them. And a level above that is, he calls them friends of pleasure, right? So these are people that, oh, you like tarot, I like tarot, let's go to this tarot event together,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, oh, like you're friends with them because you like to do the same things, basically, right? Um, so sometimes you could have a friend that's convenient, they're your neighbor, but they're not your ideal friend, right? But whatever, they're around. Or, oh, they're the only person I know that likes doing this thing. But what he has at the top of his hierarchy is, damn, I don't even remember the word that he used for it, but it's basically, you could think of it as just people whose character you actually fucking enjoy and respect. That's the top tier of friendship. Like, I'm not friends with you because you're convenient. Susie doesn't live in the same state. Elena lives like an hour away, right? This if I wanted to do things conveniently, like there'd be a lot of other bitches, right? Susie, I mean, even Betsy's 2 hours away. Like, all my closest friends are not convenient, right? I am grateful that all of us do like to do the same things, but at the end of the day, the reason that I'm so close with y'all is because I actually fuck with you. I actually think you're a dope ass bitch. I actually would ride for you. I would have your back in a fucking heartbeat, right? So just be picky. That's my advice, is be picky, right? You don't, even if you have friends, trust me, you're in a better situation than somebody with 10 friends of convenience or friends of pleasure. Work on yourself. The friends will come. Like, I did not align with you or Elena, or even the point that I got with my sister-in-law, until I started to do that inner work. Like, you have to do that inner work. You have to do that self-love, acceptance, self-worth, self-trust, all that, so that you can align people, friends, clients, partners that are gonna feel the same way about you. If you're hating yourself and drowning in your insecurities, you're going to align with people that bring those insecurities out. So yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, that was great. Elena, are you doing okay? I just want to let our listeners know that you're all right. Yeah, okay. She said yes. We're on video so we can see each other. Um, Such amazing, wonderful tidbits. This wasn't even like scratching the surface, like I said. But both Elena and Sarah bring up very good points. A lot of it is finding the root cause and the origins, right? Like, why why do you feel this way? What are you seeing? And also doing that inner work and that shadow work. And I know everyone thinks it's negative and you can't be love and light all the damn time. That is impossible. And shoving down the quote unquote darkness, your shadow self, it's only going to build up, and it's going to end up coming out anyway. So if you are resonating with any of this, or you see it, really sit and really think about what these powerful women have been saying. Whether you're coming from the workplace or from your spiritual practice or within your family, even in your circle of friends, what circle of women do you surround yourself with? And I had gotten a message before when I was talking about this. It's like, well, what am I going to do? They're family. You can set boundaries for your family. All three of us have said it. You don't necessarily have to go all the time. I know that's something that's always embedded. Trust me, I know this. And like we said before, the friendship breakup is what hurts the most, right? Because there was that sense of trust, that love, that bond. But we're all human beings, and as our human selves, if family or not, respect needs to be all the way around. I can't continue to my path if a family member of mine is writing down in their book every single time she she had done a favor or lent money or had to do something. Like, what is that? Then don't do it. It's not authentic. It's not genuine. Then it's like, oh, I don't want to ever ask for anything ever. I don't want to go down in the book. So whether you're looking for a mentor or, someone to help you on your spiritual path, or you're just figuring things out, right? Your sister wound, maybe internal misogyny or whatnot. Going down to the root causes, instilling a healing practice and some ritual, even if it's just journaling. Both of these ladies said the same thing, right? It sometimes all it takes is you sitting with yourself. Sit yourself in a chair, sit yourself outside, sit yourself in the bath, sit yourself in the shower, wherever. You don't need to do anything fancy, and just put it all out there, because who's going to judge you? It's yourself, right? And we talked about this during springtime, how all three of us had to spring clean our social media. Who are you following? What kind of videos are coming up on your FYP? I know sometimes we have random shit come up, but that's also what you also, need to really look into. Embracing your dark feminine, embracing yourself. A lot of times when we have like dark and, and this is something we don't say anymore, white magic, black magic, because it has such a negative connotation, but embracing that part of you is going to be part of the healing the sister wound, as well as releasing that negative energy, having some kind of empathy and compassion, but also the line of women before you, right? Like women being entrepreneurs. If you would have said that to your ancestor back in the day, it would have looked at you like, what? What? There has been so much coming up and just, really getting our fingernails dirty. A lot of times that gets just instilled in us to survive. So, give yourself some grace, sit with it because that personal growth and empowerment can really heal that sister wound. And I mean, look at the three of us. We started with Elena. She broke the mold and was like, you know what? I'm going to get a female mentor. Let's check this girl out. Her name is Sarah. Cool. Sarah's cool. She's unlocking doors and opening up the shades on some windows. And we're starting to peer into a deeper part of Elena, right? A deeper part of her. And then she begins to start healing that and she starts posting things. And I mean, we would talk, but like Sarah said, I'm in a different state altogether. But if I'm noticing these little changes, then I'm like, hey, just like Elena said, like, I'm not jealous. I feel like I have some stuff I can actually say too, and I want to be comfortable and I want to be confident in that. I want to be a good leader. I don't want to just be like some face where it's like, or some voice as you're listening to it, like, oh yeah, come and do a tarot reading. How are you going to give it a tarot reading or Reiki energy healing with me if you don't even know me? Right? And then we come through and we're clients of Sarah, but look how close we've gotten because we're very real. Like now I know I shouldn't be scared to open my throat chakra, which is what Sarah really helped me with, right? Look at me. I had a podcast before this with someone else and now I'm flying by myself. That's wild to me, y'all. I don't know if you could ever like think it, but I was so shy, I would never speak. And I'm hoping whatever I'm posting, I hope someone else sees that. And they're like, shit. I mean, I may never know who that domino effect. Elena will never know. Sarah may never know. But we're being that positive impact where it's going to start spreading out. And that's what we want. We may be touching and influencing people we may never know. That's the impact. That's why giving someone a side eye for no reason, it's like, shit, why am I giving her a side eye? Because she's wearing a low cut shirt. Why? Where did that come from? Where did that stem from? When you catch yourself, you did the thing, but you catch yourself, and that's the first step. So, there's so much more we could all say, but I don't want the episode to run any longer. But, Elena, where can people find you? And Sarah, but we'll go, Elena, where can people find you? Do you have anything else going on how anyone can connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok as priestess.activation. Same thing with YouTube. And my website if anyone is interested in checking out the different types of readings that I have and the different types of healings that I do, it's priestessactivations.com. So just come over and hang out and shit with me. Dark feminine.
Thanks. Okay, Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, so in terms of social media, I'm only on Instagram at exoteric.oracle. You can also find my website, exotericoracle.squarespace.com. And if you go to my Instagram bio, like the link in my bio, you could sign up for my email newsletter. There's also a one-on-one application form if you're interested in that. And if you fill out the form, then we can, schedule a free 30-minute call just to see if we're a good fit. I do have some programs coming up at the end of summer on spiritual warriorship and a little something extra that I'm not ready to announce yet. But yeah, I got some things in the works and I'm always open to new one-on-one clients. So
Awesome. And don't worry about getting a pen and paper. I'm going to have all of their links in the show notes. So just scroll on down. click on their links. That way, you're not getting scammed by anybody. And as always, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. You can also email me at susiesenchantedcrossroads@gmail.com. Also, in the show notes, if you have a question or an idea for a topic, there's also a link where you can fill out a form, and I will definitely look that up. I've already done one on salt, which was super amazing. So please don't hesitate. There's no dumb questions and no dumb topics. So make sure you hit us all up. And ladies, thank you so much for your time and for being here. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And thank you to all of you out there listening. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.